What can people start doing now that will help them a lot in about 5 years? Registered dental hygienist weighing in on this. If you have to brush only once a day, due to depression, exhaustion, laziness, whatever, please brush at night. I see so many patients on a regular basis who only brush once a day in the morning. But what they don't realize is when we go to bed at night, everything we ate, drank throughout the day as well as the plaque, bacteria in our mouths just sit completely undisturbed all night long, whether this be 5, 6, 7, or 8 hours. This contributes to a lower pH, which leads to cavities and dry mouth some people experience during the night, puts you at an even higher risk for tooth decay. Your salivary glands slow their function while you sleep, so not much is moving around at all like it would be while we are active during the day. So for your sock and the sock of your dental healthcare professionals, please brush at night. Twice a day, obviously, is preferable. I tell my patients I will happy dance with them if they come back and have been brushing to x/des. FFS, please do this. I'm sitting outside of a walk-in clinic now waiting to get antibiotics for an abscessed tooth because the pain has become unbearable. My right eye keeps leaking from the pressure and I've taken so much pain medication that my stomach hurts. I can't stand this pain much longer and I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours. Also, always rinse after eating anything, especially if it's sugary. Even if you rinse with just water afterwards, it will make world of difference in your oral health. The idea is that it's not the amount of food you eat that damages your teeth, but instead the amount of time the food you eat is exposed to your teeth. Rinsing right after will minimize the time your teeth are exposed by a lot. I brush twice a day but always forget or am too lazy to floss. Despite that, I haven't had a cavity for years now that I made this a habit. Been an adult for 10 years and other than healthy food you enjoy, that I still don't stick to 100% of the time. I haven't found any of the other things on this list despite a mostly concerted effort to search for them, especially first and last. Starting to believe enjoyment isn't something I'm wired for when it comes to the hard things in life: work, exercise, self-improvement through meditation/yoga/spirituality, socializing, hobbies. Understand yourself, your body, your condition, and learn how to take care of yourself as much as you can. Example: learn how to cook a healthy yet delicious food. Learn how to cook in an unlikely condition, like in rush, ingredient substitute. Learn food prep. Learn managing groceries from purchasing, storage, to recycle. Learn how to cut your own hair. Learn laundry management. Learn how to take care of your house, etc. In 5 years you'll thank yourself for learning all of these. If you're a person with heart disease, high blood pressure, etc. in your family, consider the Mediterranean diet. Good food, generally pretty easy to prepare and is great for your overall health but especially your heart. If you're going from a red meat and starch heavy diet, it can be a bit difficult to stick to at first, but if you can manage it, your body will thank you. The worst thing when stopped smoking is that your nose will adjust to it pretty much 2 to 3 days in. Everything was smelling horribly. I had to wash everything I could, even though I never smoked inside my apartment. But my jacket smelled like an old ashtray and I became hypersensitive to that smell. It really opens your eyes how bad you smelled all that time while non-smokers were just polite enough to not point it out constantly. If you are trying to quit, try changing to a brand without additives like American Spirit. They don't satisfy like the usual brands, but weaning off nicotine is so much easier without the additives. Avoid vaping. I found I end up quickly using much higher doses of nicotine than usual after switching from tobacco to vape. When you finally manage to quit, calculate how much you spend on cigarettes and accessories and set up a standing order to move that amount every week into a savings account. I'm not saying it's easy. I have given up many times and failed, but it's worth it. Along with sobriety, if you stick to it, 1 year later you will be in a completely different situation. A lot of people throw this advice around and a lot of people also misunderstand this. Yes, don't care what strangers think, and yes, do what makes you happy, as in find a hobby that you enjoy or something. But no, Sometimes what makes you happy is not good for you, and sometimes other people's opinions are not just to hurt you but they are showing concern for your safety. How do you do it? How do you find time to go without your boss busting your balls about it? Do you go weekly, monthly? Are they in-person or online sessions? I feel like online would be substantially more convenient, but would they be as effective? Also, why does therapy work? I mean, you are asking them to help solve all your problems. Do that mean they have all this shit figured out already? And how do you start? There's so many possible things to talk about. How do you even get started unpacking all your shit? Start doing yoga, stretching now. You might feel stiff as a plank, but a little bit every week or so will increase your range of motion over time. Don't think you have to book into a $30 1-hour class. There's heaps of short little practices on YouTube. Yoga with Adriene is great. Keep your back strong and healthy. Breathe deep. Check in with your body. You don't have to buy into all the woo, it's just movement. I started from scratch about 5 years ago and I don't take it very seriously at all, but now I can do the splits and I don't slouch anymore. Underrated. While I ended up dropping out of college, my minor student loans built my credit so I could get my first credit card, which, when used responsibly, is a good way to build credit. This led to my first car and eventually my home. At 26 my credit is 801. I hit 700 years ago and was 750 before I got married a few years ago. Good credit means better rates. I recently refinanced my car and got 2.99% interest. It helped that I used a credit union. My husband's family scared him off of credit cards. I've had one since my early 20s. Very much came in handy when my husband suddenly needed car work or when our dog ate our mattress or our cat needed surgery. Don't go max it out just because you can. Be careful with it and make it work for you. For those who are in your late 20s and 30s, don't stop being active. A big change happens when you are 35 for some people but not for others. I heard on a podcast last week that from 35-55 you get to choose your age. Some 39-year-olds are old as fuck and barely get out of a chair without sounding like a geriatric 70-year-old. Some beach volleyball players in their 40s are better than those in their 20s. Some people are doing triathlons in their 50s. Don't stop exercising. If you stop, it is so hard to start back up again. Actively think about and correct your posture. If you're like me, you might have a hump at the base of your neck from decades of slouching. That little hump should be as far forward as humanly possible. You should feel your shoulders fall back, your chest come forward, your butt stick out, and your neck elongate. I'm not a medical professional, but good posture is so damn important. It affects everything: your breathing, your balance, your digestive health, your legs and back, and all of your muscles and bones. It also improves your profile significantly. Seriously, straightening my back makes me look 10x hotter instantly lol. After nearly 30 years of hunching over at every opportunity, I wish I'd made the good habits and practiced my back muscles for good posture years ago. Plan and take your first steps towards your career path. Keep moving forward. I quit and regret it every single day. 33 years old. Nothing to show for it. Successful husband, check. Happy, healthy kids, check. Me, broken shell of an incompetent human being. Plan. Move forward. Step over your path blockers. Don't allow life to block your goals. Don't turn into me. Save money. I may be 13 but my dad has gotten far from saving money. It will help you a lot mainly in college, but it still is great to have saved money. Just because you get money doesn't mean you spend it, because one day you're gonna make no money and you're not gonna have any money or anything. If you saved it, you could use that to fill in for that day and then you'll be back on track. This may not be in 5 years, but like I said, it's great just to have money in general for that one day. Eat healthy. Work out. Not even talking about getting fit just to stay healthy. Also put away at least 20% of your income away for investments. I adopted the philosophy that there are people that live on less than me, which means I can too. I won't necessarily be comfortable, but for being uncomfortable for a few years so I can live comfortably the rest of my life is a good trade. Start the day by trusting that strange feeling something bad is gonna happen today. Call in sick from work. Go visit that random little town you always plan to stop at but never have. Buy a lottery ticket on the way home. End the day by telling your partner something that will make them feel extra loved. Because if you had gone to work that day, you would have set off a chain of small events ending with your car being hit by a semi-truck on your commute home 5 years later. Starting right now, make the commitment to always write with flawless spelling, grammar, and punctuation. I know that it sounds tedious. I know that you've heard all sorts of rationalizations for not writing well. I know that it sounds like you'll be making a lot of extra effort in exchange for little to no reward. Hell, I know that it's difficult. I'm just wasting time. The argument goes, I can write well when I need to. Here's the thing, though. The habits that you form while casually commenting and texting are the ones that ultimately stick with you. You might think that you can write well when it's required, but unless you constantly work at it, and avoid falling into bad behavior patterns, you might not even recognize when you're making mistakes. Since more and more of our communication takes place in text nowadays, a person's writing style is tantamount to their personal appearance. Following from that, typos, and other such errors, come across as being the equivalent of suspicious stains or off-putting globs hanging from a person's nose. Having a put-together appearance, on the other hand, will give you a subtle but significant advantage in almost every situation. Now, perfection is impossible. We all make mistakes, but the important thing is to be constantly learning and improving. If you catch yourself making a writing error, correct it. Even if it means editing a comment, sending an additional text message, or deleting and resubmitting a tweet. Little by little, the attention that you force yourself to pay will keep any issues from arising in the first place. And you'll be far better off as a result. Doctor, start writing like an obsessive editor. Exercise, plain and simple. Jobs will come and go. So's. 2. You get one body in this life. Work it out till you sweat and hold that for 20-30 minutes at least once daily. Run, lift, bike, play tennis, hacky sack. It doesn't matter, just find time to work out daily. Food will taste better, air will seem fresher, and your skin will look younger. Then in moments when you lose other keystones, you'll be the rock you need to lean on when all else fails. Open a Roth IRA and invest $20, $30 a week in safe stocks. Coca-Cola, Kraft, Disney are pretty safe and will usually yield a dividend, which is a little piece of the earnings. You can add the option to reinvest your dividend in said stock. Do this and in 5 years you will feel pretty good about having a start on some retirement income. The best part is Roth IRAs are pre-taxed, so you don't need to pay taxes when you cash out. Well, I scrolled for a bit and didn't see this. Learn how to fix, and/or enhance, stuff. You might already have some technical skill. Maybe you can fix computers. I recommend build on whatever base you have and branch out to other areas. I wasn't mechanically minded from birth. I had to figure it out. I started by doing my own oil and my car stereo. I learned to figure out why something stopped working, like a light switch or a power supply. I figured out what to do when something leaks to stop it leaking, and so on. Becoming more technical and more into DIY has seriously improved my life because, 1. When things break, they don't stay broken for long. Instead of driving to the shops and back or whatever, I can fix things right there on the spot most times. 2. I've got more money because I'm spending less on replacing things or getting other people to fix things. 3. You get less frustrated. Have you ever had it where you can't make something work properly, you don't know quite why, and in the end you discover that it actually had a fault the whole time? Well, nowadays I figure that out a lot more quickly. 4. By talking at least some of the technical language, I find I don't get ripped off, or at least I get ripped off less. 5. When I go to buy something technical, I have a much better idea of whether or not it's actually going to work, and probably more reasons. But anyway, yeah, learn to fix things. Saving money and investing prudently. All my friends wonder how I can just buy the newest thing without having to wait to save up, and I tell them I'm always saving money. My car is paid for, given to me. It's about 2 decades old but runs fine because I maintain it. I don't need a brand new BMW or Tesla to feel proud of myself. I have very little debt, and I pay off anything quickly. I don't turn on lights during the day, unless it's raining heavily. I have my VEX set to 75 in the summer and 70 in the winter. If I'm hot, I take clothes off and turn on the fan. If it gets cold, we invented clothing and blankets. I cook mostly at home and very rarely eat out. Showers are 5 minutes or less. Get in, soap up, wash hair. For short-haired people, this is easy. I apologize if you have longer hair. 5 minutes is probably not enough. I do laundry in big batches. I also don't switch out clothes or underwear every single day. Some people are hygiene freaks with that, but I don't care about wearing the same thing for a few days. My friend, I believe you are swaying across the line of frugal and cheap a bit more than most. Your comment reminds me of a family friend who cut corners to save money for the vast majority of his life and then one day realized he hadn't actually lived a life. Now, I'm not saying that you should go buy a new car, but do you honestly not think you produce enough sweat to justify changing your underwear daily? I work from home and am crippled, so moving around is not an easy or fun thing to do. If I do move, it's usually to the restroom or fridge or stovetop. Otherwise, I'm mostly seated or laying down most of the day working or leisure on my iPad. As for doing fun stuff, I'll occasionally visit my family at the beach, but getting down there and back is 6 hours each way, and physically getting to the beach is frustrating as many beaches are not ETA compliant. When I travel, I only use credit card to avoid debit being stolen. I never use debit. I always use my credit card that has cashback rewards, and then pay the full balance every month. This way I never pay interest to the credit card company, but I get a 1% discount on everything, all the time. Also, if you prefer to use debit, you can get the debit card with zero fraud liability. It means you'll never be responsible for fraudulent charges, so even if your card is stolen you won't lose money. Running, or even walking with an eye towards working up to jogging in the not too distant, on the way to running eventually. As a sometime runner, I'll be the first to admit, running friggin' sucks. It takes a long time and a lot of work before your body's in the kind of shape where it is actually feels kinda good, rather than just virtuously torturous. You will get there, but 5 years isn't an out-of-the-question timeline. That is, if your joints are up to it. On second thought, why don't you try swimming? Way easier on the joints. Excellent cardio and great full-body workout. Get yourself generally toned without getting wiry or bulgy. Really, the only thing running has going for it is you can do it right outside your front door. Learn to type and get comfortable with keyboard shortcuts. So many jobs today require using some sort of computer. It is both slower and harder on your body to switch to the mouse for things that could be done with a keyboard shortcut. I've been working in IT for 28 years and can honestly say that some of my success comes from the fact that I'm demonstrably faster at data entry, creating documents, PPTs, spreadsheets. Seriously, just try to eat well most of the time and be active. It's astonishing how quickly someone can decline when you hit a certain age or catch an injury if you haven't built a baseline health. You don't need to be cutting out all junk food and hitting the gym. Just be active and a bit smart on your diet. My grandmother never worked a day, and when she had a stroke she just had no strength with which to climb back, and we had to watch her slide out of life for years. My parents acted the same, ate comfort food every night and just stayed as homebodies for most of my lifetime. One single fall, just a slip on the porch, basically fast-forwarded my father's age by a decade. Terrible eating habits left my mother fully functional but similarly physically and emotionally just unable or unwilling to climb back up to where she'd wish. I know this sounds cliché to say, It's a well-passed-around piece of advice, but seriously, when you see your family lacking the tools to rebuild because of simple self-maintenance being absent, it can be quite painful for all in the atmosphere, and you just want to shout it.